Good afternoon, everyone. This is Jaimini Astrology channel. I hope all of you are well. Today we're going to do the class for MANDOOK Dasha again. This horoscope, which you can see in front of you, has been taken from the book Predict True Jaimini's Navamsha Dasha by Sachin, Malhotra, guide and editor K. N. Rao, published by Vani publications, Delhi, and this horoscope can be found on the page 39 of that very book. Sachin Malhotra, the author of this book, obviously examined this chart by applying Navamsha Dasha. What we're going to do today, we're going to use MANDOOK Dasha to examine this horoscope today, and we see if MANDOOK Dasha is applicable and worth to use. First of all, MANDOOK Dasha is a conditional Dasha, so we need to check if we've got all necessary conditions fulfilled to successfully use or apply this Dasha. As you can see here, we're taking into consideration Kendra houses. We've got 3 grahas found in the 4th house of Tula. We've got also another 3 grahas found in the 7th house of Makara, which gives us 6. So the main condition is fulfilled. We've got at least 4 grahas placed in Kendra houses, excluding Rahu or Ketu. So, as we can see, MANDOOK Dasha should be applicable to that horoscope. So, we're going to use MANDOOK Dasha today, and we're going to examine this chart by verifying a few important events from the life of the owner of the horoscope. But before we take into consideration our MANDOOK Dasha, let's have a look at general, I would say, characteristics of this horoscope as seen through traditional Parashari astrology. As we can see, Lagna falls in the sign of Karka. Lagnesh, moon, sits in the 7th house of Makara. Obviously, as you can see, along with the 7th lord, Shani, which is in its own sign, and they are joined by the 6th and the 9th lord, which is Guru or Jupiter. Jupiter here is debiliated in the sign of Makara. So this is clear. All those 3 grahas found in the 7th house of Makara are aspected by Mangala from the sign of Tula. Mangala is placed in the 4th house of Tula. Mangala for this particular horoscope is the 5th and the 10th lord, which is obviously Yoga Karaka. It gets the status of Yoga Karaka for this particular horoscope for Karka Lagna, but Mangala is still a natural malefic. So, as we can observe, the 7th lord Shani and Mangala, they exchange their aspects, or in other words, they aspect each other. Shani by its 10th aspects Mangala, and Mangala by its 4th aspects Shani, obviously. So we can see the entire situation. What else we need to mention here before we start dealing with our Mandook Dasha. Let's take a look at the sign of Kanya. Kanya falls in the 3rd house, and here we've got natural Karaka, significator of marriage, partner, wife, spouse, husband, which is Shukra. So in this horoscope, Shukra is, when it comes to Jaimini, is the Stira Karaka, is considered Stira Karaka for marriage, for a partner, husband, wife, etc., etc. As we can see, this is the sign of Kanya, where we have found our Shukra. It is the sign of its debilitation. So, this is what I wanted to mention by looking briefly at Parashari astrology. Okay, so let me clear that picture, and now we're going to move to discuss that horoscope through our Mandook Dasha in Jaimini astrology. As we can see, the person was born on 18th of October 1961. First we'll do the quick calculation of Mandook Dasha. As it's been told already, Lagna falls in the sign of Karka. This is an even sign, so we'll start our Mandook Dasha from the 7th house of Makara, and we will count our Mandook Dasha in anti-clockwise way. Yeah, the entire Mandook Dasha will go anti-clockwise. Okay, so the first Dasha starting from 1961 will be the Dasha, obviously, of Makara. Here we've got Shani, the ruler, the lord of the sign of Makara, placed in its own Rashi. So in this instance we will give 12 full years for the Mahadasha of Makara. So Mahadasha of Makara will start at 1961 and will last up to 1973, entire 12 years. Then you need to remember that we're progressing anti-clockwise, so the next Mahadasha will be the Mahadasha of Tula. What we can see here, the owner of Tula, which is Shukra or Venus, is placed 12 houses away from the sign of Tula. Here we're counting, obviously, clockwise, because Tula is an odd Rashi. So in this way we can see that Tula Mahadasha will consist of 12 years, and it will be for the years 1973 up to 1985. Then the third Mahadasha will be the Mahadasha of Karka. That will be our third Mahadasha. What we can see here, we can find the ruler of Karka, which is Chandra or the moon. The moon found 7 Rashis away. So what we know about the rules and exemptions while applying our Mandook Dasha. Anytime when we find the ruler of the Rashi found 7 Rashis, houses, places away from the Rashi it governs, then it constitutes an exemption. And here we don't assign 7 years, but as per Mandook Dasha we give 10 full years. Okay, so this way our Karka Dasha will consist of 10 years and not 7, because this is an exemption. It will be for the years 1985 up to 1995. The fourth dasha will be the dasha, Mahadasha, of Mesha. What we can see here, the owner of Mesha, the ruler of Mesha, which is Mangala, is also found in seven rashis away from the rashi it governs. It is the same situation as previously with Chandra. This is also an exception, so we won't give 7 years for the Mesha Dasha, but instead we will assign 10 years as the Dasha length. So Mesha Mahadasha will start in 1995 and will last till 2005. Then after Mesha Mahadasha we will have Mahadasha of Danu. Here we'll be counting clockwise because Danu is an odd sign. So as you can see, the ruler of Danu, which is Jupiter, moved just 2 rashis away from the rashi it governs from Danu, so it will give us 2 years as the length of Danu Mahadasha, and it will be for the years of 2005 till 2007. That will be our Danu Dasha. And after Danu Dasha we will reach the Mahadasha of Kanya. Here Kanya is an even sign, so we'll be counting anti-clockwise up to its ruler, which is Buddha. Mercury is retrograde, found in the sign of Tula, so the picture is clear. It will give us 12 years as the length of entire Kanya Mahadasha. So Kanya Mahadasha will start in 2007 and it will last up to 2019, and we will stop here. There's no need for counting more dashas as we're going to focus on I believe four events covering that period of time. Okay, so let me just clear that picture a bit, okay, and we'll carry on. Just give me a second. And we can start discussing some events from the life of the owner of the horoscope. So, the person got married in December 1985. It was Karka Makara. During this period, the person got married. Karka, Mahadasha Karka, Antardasha, and Pratyantardasha of Makara. So, let us look at the 1-7 houses axis. Makara, as you can see, is the 7th house from Lagna and contains Shani, which is Dara Karaka, for that particular horoscope, responsible for wife, spouse, partner, for the marriage. So I believe the picture is very clear. What we can't omit here. Makara, as you can see, is also Dara Karaka Navamsha. Dara Karaka is Shani, and also Makara is the Dara Pada, in other words, Aruda of the 7th house. So without any further discussion, I believe it is extremely clear that the person got married in Karka Karka Makara. It doesn't need additional explanation. The picture is very, very clear. We'll come to another event. In July 1986, his wife unfortunately got burned in a fire accident, and as the result of that accident, his wife unfortunately and sadly passed away. It was during Karka Karka, but Simha Pratyantar Dasha. As we discussed, the person got married in December 1985, and the accident took place in July. So this is not even the whole year apart. Yeah? Accident took place in July 1986. So the Dasha and Mahadasha and Pratyantar Dasha are the same. Karka Karka. The Pratyantar Dasha is different. Pratyantar Dasha is of Simha, while the Mahadasha and Antardasha remain Karka Karka. And let's focus on what we can see here from Simha Pratyantar Dasha. As you can see, let's look at the 1-7 houses axis first. Okay, here we got Rahu in the first, Ketu in the seventh. Pay attention that seventh house has got Upapada. This is Kumbha Rashi, and Upapada Lagna falls in the seventh house as well. When it comes to additional factors, look where we can find our Dara Karaka. Just give me a second. Dara Karaka, Shani, along with Putra Karaka and Chandra Brati Karaka, are found in the sixth house of accidents, sixth house of Makara, as seen from Pratyantar Dasha of Simha. Yeah, so have a look. They are all in the sixth house, responsible for accidents, yeah, and they receive the aspect. I'm sorry, that's a mistake. Let me just clear that. Just give me a second. Yeah. They receive the aspect of Rahu from the first, and they also aspect the first house from the sixth house, responsible for accidents. Let's have a look what happens further on 1-7 houses axis. We've got Surya, Gnati Karaka, found in the third house of Tula. We've got Mangala, Atma Karaka. Surya, or the sun, is debilitated in the sign of Tula. It is also Gnati Karaka for this horoscope. And look what is happening to the seventh house of this horoscope. The seventh house, obviously signifying wife, partner, receives the aspects of these fiery grahas. Mangala here is obviously Atma Karaka, but first of all, in this situation, natural malefic and a fiery graha. Surya is another fiery graha, and it's also Gnati Karaka for that particular horoscope. We know that the wife suffered in the fire accident in that period. What else we can see here apart from Rahu and Ketu in the 1-7 axis? There are no additional benefits found in Kendras as seen from Simha Pratyantar Dasha. You can see that the 4th house of Rishika and the 10th house of Rishabha are devoid of any beneficial influence. Okay? What else we can add here? Considering Stira Karakas, here Shukra Venus, as we thought previously, is posited in the 3rd house. In the 3rd house, when we take into consideration Karka, Mahadasha, Pratyantar Dasha, Shukra, natural significator of marriage, partner, spouse, is obviously in the sign of its debilitation, Kanya, in the 3rd house, aspecting the 12th house of Mithuna, aspecting the 6th house of Danu, as seen from Karka, Mahadasha, and Antardasha. So that's also very important. Let me just clear that picture, and we'll come to discussing another events. Just give me a second, I'll clear it. Just a second. Here we go. And we'll talk about another event. The person was married again in May 1997 during his Mesha, which is Aries, Mesha, Makara, and Kumbha. So Mesha, Mahadasha, Makara, Antardasha, and Kumbha Pratyantar Dasha. It was in May 1997. What we can see from main Mahadasha, from Mesha. See that the 7th house from Mesha, which is Tula, contains debilitated Sun or Surya, which is Gnati Karaka for this particular horoscope, along with Mangala, Atmakaraka, and natural malefic, and also retrograde Buddha Mercury. They are aspected by Rahu and Ketu additionally. Rahu and Ketu. Look what is happening to Shukra, natural significator, natural karaka of marriage, as seen from Mesha, Mahadasha. Shukra sits in the 6th house, and as we talked previously, as we noticed previously, it is found in the sign of its debilitation. So we can ask a question: will it be, I would say, good enduring, sound marriage in the future? I wouldn't I wouldn't say so. So this is just a few thoughts when it comes to your mind when you see that event from marriage from Mesha, Mahadasha. Okay, we'll jump to Kumbha Pratyanta Dasha because we're discussing previously that horoscope as seen from Makara Rashi. Yeah? So I'm not going to repeat myself. So we'll jump to Kumbha Pratyanta Dasha. What we can see here from Kumbha. Kumbha, as you can see, contains Upapada. Okay, here we've got Ketu and Rahu on 1-7 axis. But what else we can observe here? The 7th house of Simha this time is aspected by Shani, Dara Karaka, Guru Putra Karaka, Chandra Brati Karaka. These three grahas aspected by Dara Karaka, Navamsha, clear indication of marriage, and the 7th is also aspected by Mangalatma Karaka and Shurya Gnati Karaka. So it shows us the event, the marriage which took place in Kumbha Pratyantara Dasha. Marriage took place in May 1997. I'll repeat, it happened in May 1997. Okay? Then let me just quickly clear that and we'll discuss another event. Now we're going to talk what we could see previously while we're examining briefly Mesha Mahadasha. We're going to talk about the divorce which happened in August 2008, and it was Kanya, Mesha, Kanya, Mahadasha, Kanya, Antardasha, and Mesha, Pratyantar Dasha. Okay? Mesha, Pratyantar Dasha. We're talking about Mesha previously, so we'll just focus on Kanya. What we can see from Kanya. Kanya obviously contains Shukra, natural Karaka of marriage, wife, spouse, partner. Here, Stira Karaka of marriage, as per Jaimini astrology. Shukra is in the sign of its debilitation. Apart from that, as you can see clearly, there are no other benefics remaining in Kendras. Then see that Dara Karaka, 3 grahas, including Dara Karaka, from the sign of Makara aspect the 12th house of Simha and Rahu in there. We can also see that Atma Karaka and Shurya Gnati Karaka, they also aspect the 12th house of Simha and Rahu placed in there. What else we can see? Let's look at the 6th house. The 6th house becomes the Rashi of Kumbha here. Okay? So we've got also Mangala, Atma Karaka, Shurya, Gnati Karaka aspecting the 6th house. 6th house and 12 houses, they are both related, as we know, to separation, divorce, problems in marriage. So I believe the entire situation becomes very clear. Okay, what else we can add to that? Look at the 7th house. 7th house. 7. I'm sorry, just give me a second. Look at the 7th house of Mina, as seen from Kanya Mahadasha. Okay, when we count the 6 houses from the 7th, which is Mina or Pisces, will land up in Simha, which will be the 6th. Then look again at the aspects of Shani, Dara Karaka, Shurya, Gnati Karaka, Mangalatma Karaka on the 6th from 7th as well. So the situation is very, very clear. The person got divorced in August 2008. So I've chosen 4 events from the life of this person. All those 4 events related to marriage and married life. So in your spare time, go through them once again and see how clearly MANDOOK Dasha shows us those events. Let's return to that very sad event, for instance, when we are talking about the first marriage of the person and the fire accident which happened in Karka Simha. Look how clearly it is shown from Simha. Shani, Darakaraka, found in the 6th house of accidents, receiving aspects of Rahu, aspecting the 1st house of Simha and Rahu. The situation is very clear. The 7th house of Kumbha, Ketu is in the 7th house, signifying wife, partner, receiving the aspect of those 2 fiery planets, debilitated Shurya, which is Gnati Karaka, found in the sign of Tula, and Mangala, which is natural malefic. Those 2 grahas are related to fire. Rahu, Ketu, they are related to smoke, to burns as well. So this very sad and tragic event is clearly shown in that particular horoscope. So I hope it was helpful. I'm going to conclude. I'm going to finish today's class. Take care, God bless, and I'll see you the next time. Bye bye.